You're watching BCTV. We're all about Branford. You're watching BCTV, Branford Government Television, a service of Branford Community Television. This program is brought to you in part through the support of the town of Branford.
Call this meeting of the Branford Planning and Zoning Commission to order. I'll introduce members of the commission staff. Commission member Joe Chadwick. Joe, are you here?
Joe Chadwick is present.
Commission member Fred Russo. Fred, are you here?
Fred Russo is present.
And commission member Joe Viuso. Joe, are you here?
Joe Viuso here.
And I understand there is no Marcy at this time. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And Sharon is not making it tonight, I understand?
Correct.
And then Dave Dwyer. Dave, are you here?
Yes, Dave Dyer's here.
Okay, Dave, thanks. And our staff this evening is our town planner, McKeel Wackers. McKeel, you're here?
Here.
And Dan, our assistant planner, Dan Robinson.
Here.
Dan, you're here?
I am.
And our clerk recording secretary, Michelle Martin. And I am Chuck Anders, chair. We do not have any public hearings on our agenda, so I'm not going to go through the drill, or even Fred, I don't think you need to read anything because we don't have anything. So we can turn, there's nothing under old business. We'll turn right to new business. Item number 1 of new business is Paul Santa Barbara, care of Beacon Hill Properties, and this is a matter that we just need to schedule a public hearing for. This again is a special exception coastal site plan for a 22-unit housing development, and I understand that a public hearing would be scheduled for that for January 8th. Is that correct, Michaela and Michelle?
That's correct.
Okay, so on that item, if you're listening on that one, that's a public hearing that we'll have at our next meeting, which is scheduled for Thursday, January 8th, which brings us into item number 2, which is our only live application, I believe, for this evening, which is Judy Need Zwicky, applicant and owner, 35 Bayberry Lane, a special exception modification, a second floor addition to the garage for an accessory dwelling unit and a small addition to the back of the existing house. Applicant ready to proceed with that?
Yes. Good evening, Jim Preddy, Criscola Engineering. I apologize for the weirdness here. I don't know, something's going on with my speaker on my laptop. In any event, so this is something that was approved before. There was a second floor addition on a garage and a dining room addition on the back of the house. They pulled the building permits at separate times. So the garage, the special exception that was for the accessory apartment and the accessory structure, the garage is pretty much built, and they pulled the building permit for the dining room, and the plan had changed by about 2 feet. I'm trying to share the screen. You see the plan now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So it's right here. This is the garage. I said that was part of the other application, but that's pretty much built. So this right here, there's I don't know, I can zoom in a little bit. There was a dining room addition that was proposed on the back of the house. It grew 2 feet. This yard, it looks like it's in the wetland. It is a perfectly manicured lawn, fertilized and everything. It was a surprise to everybody that it's actually wetlands. So anyway, we got wetland approval for the change to increase the room by 2 feet, and now here we are with you guys. That's it. That's the only change from what had been already approved. Is this room got slightly bigger.
Chuck Kindersteer. Thank you, Mr. Preddy. Looks like a small addition. Dan, did you do the staff report for this one?
I did. I'll quickly share my screen and go over it as well. Let's see here. Can everyone see?
In a minute. There you go.
Yep. Okay. All right. So, like Jim said, it's a modification of a previous approval that was made in 2023 at 35 Bayberry Lane. That I believe that was 23-8.9. This one is modifying that. I'll show the site plan here. That again, to reiterate, the red area is what's being changed here. It's only being pushed out a little further. I think it's an increase of about, I don't know, 50 square feet in total. Right. Past the wetland flag, but they've already received approval from inland wetlands to have that structure over the wetland flag. And this original addition, not as big as it is now, or as it's planned to be, was approved as part of the special exception back in 2023 for the accessory apartment. So again, just modifying that. Here's a picture of the aerial. The addition will be right back there behind the house. And these are the findings. The commission can waive the public hearing if it finds it not necessary, which I guess I think we might have to have a separate motion to do that. I'm not sure sequentially when that needs to happen. But these are the findings that I have. Find it compliant with the special exception requirements, the planning and zoning regulations. Prior to start of construction, erosion and control measures shall be installed, and the conditions that were applied on the original special exception shall remain in effect. And that's all from me. If you have any questions, I can explore this further, but that's about it.
Great. Chuck Anders, Chair. Thank you, Dan. Any questions or comments from commission members on this?
Chuck, Fred Russo.
Fred?
I would just say the modification seems so minor, it doesn't seem necessary to have a public hearing unless we have, people from the public who are going to demand it. But if there are none, I would say that we should forego the public hearing.
Thanks, Fred. I think that's, why don't we treat that as a motion? Fred's going to make a motion that we waive the public hearing. Is there a second?
Chadwick will second that.
Thank you, Joe. Any further discussion about waiving the public hearing on the grounds that it seems to be very minor? If not, then all in favor of waiving the public hearing for this special exception modification, Joe Chadwick.
Joe Chadwick is in favor.
Fred?
In favor.
Joe Vayuso?
Joe Vayuso approves.
Dave, I think you're voting tonight.
Hey.
Hey.
Yeah, I approve too.
Okay, and Chair's also in favor of waiving the public hearing. So then let's get to the application itself. We waived the public hearing. Again, it seemed to be a fairly minor addition, and no changes in use and anything else. And unless someone has any comments, someone will make a motion to approve the application by adopting the special exception modification findings and the conditions as set forth in Dan's staff report that's currently displayed on the screen right now.
Fred Russo will make that motion.
Fred makes the motion to approve. Is there a second?
Chadwick
Dyer
second.
seconds.
Okay, we'll give it to who got it first?
Dave Dyer got it.
Okay, Dave got the second. All right. And then any further discussion? All those in favor, Joe Chadwick?
Joe Chadwick is in favor.
Fred Russo?
In favor.
Joe Vayuso?
Vayuso in favor.
Dave?
Dave in favor.
And Chair's also in favor. So that application is approved, Mr. Pretty. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. It's been a long week, and I hope you all have a great holiday.
Oh, yeah.
And that's right. We enjoy the festive Christmas hat there. So
Great. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
okay. That brings us then to minutes from our last meeting of November 20th. And those were sent out in our packet and sent out by email and regular mail. And you had a chance to review those. Someone want to make a motion with respect to the November 20th, 2025 minutes?
Chadwick makes that motion.
Motion to approve the November 20th, 2025 movements by Joe Chadwick. Is there a second?
Fred Russo will second that motion.
Second by Fred. Any further discussion? All those in favor, Joe Chadwick?
Joe Chadwick is in favor.
Fred?
Fred Russo is in favor.
Joe Vayuso?
Joe Vayuso in favor.
Dave?
I wasn't there for the meeting.
I wasn't either, so I'm going to abstain. You can abstain, but it's still a quorum to approve. So I think 3 out of 5. That's anyway. An abstention still a vote. So so those are approved. Okay, that brings us into correspondence. Do we have any, McKeel?
No correspondence.
Okay. Then we get, I just note for the record at the bottom of the agenda, you list pending items. Those are, I guess, items that are sort of on hold. We're waiting deep comments on both of those, and presumably we would put them on under new business once we get that. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, great. Thanks, McKeel. Okay, so going to other business, we have election of officers. That's something under our bylaws we do every year. And I think we had delegated Sharon to make a poll, and I know she's not here tonight.
We did call her. Michelle called her, and if I understand that there was unanimous support to renominate Chuck Andrus. I believe that was what she communicated.
Okay. And I assume what about our vice chair or our secretary rather? I think the official position is secretary.
Yeah,
Fred?
and to renominate Fred Russo as well. That's
okay.
She said there are really no other changes. Everyone's happy. It seems like it. Maybe that'll be confirmed or disproved in the vote.
Okay.
Could be.
Okay. Well, will someone want to make a motion to approve the slate of nominees for the chair and secretary? And I guess the chair would be myself, and the secretary would be Fred. So does someone want to make that motion?
Chadwick makes the motion to accept the slate as presented.
Motion made by Joe Chadwick. Is there a second?
Vayuso second.
Joe Vayuso seconds. Any further discussion? All those in favor, Joe Chadwick.
Joe Chadwick is in favor.
Fred.
Fred's in favor.
Joe Vayuso.
Joe in favor.
Dave, I know I officially don't know if you're here. Are you in favor?
Yeah, alternate.
Yes, I am.
Okay, excellent. And then chair is also in favor. So yeah. Okay, so we're stuck for another year, Fred. So
There you go.
okay.
Congratulations.
All right. Okay, item number 2 is planner's report. McKeel, what do you have for us?
So 2 things really quickly. Update on the landscaping regulations. Marcy and Peter and I have been meeting. We had our 4th meeting today, and we are looking to get the regulations introduced January 8th. And so we made a lot of good progress. The 3 of us feel pretty comfortable with where they are. There's a couple of questions, but I think we all agree those are good questions for the commission to consider when we introduce them. And it's also been shared with other people outside the group to get their feedback, such as Perry Maresca and Jamie Fredericks. So we've gotten good feedback there. I will, after tonight, share it with the rest of the commission so you all can see its draft form right now prior to introduction. And if you have suggestions, those will be encouraged. And there might be other people that we're going to share it as well to get their feedback. There are other members of the public that are very interested in these regulations. So we're on track, and I think it so far looks like it's the draft seems to be well received so far. And with that, I'm going to hand it over, or Dan and I are going to give you a quick presentation on form-based zoning, the type of work we've been doing, and so that you can get a sense of where we're headed, and we can also get some of your impressions that will be helpful. So I can share.
Okay.
So I think I'll do the first couple slides and hand it over to Dan. So really quickly, so we have these 6 initiatives and they are all underway. We've got a busy department working on coastal management and open space and transit-oriented development, form-based zoning, which we'll talk about tonight, infill development and housing. So, and we're still in December, so we're still doing a lot of the data collection and GIS work, and we're starting to. So the blue is the stakeholder engagement. So we're on track and moving along through that process. So form-based zoning. So right now, we have a large number of tools in our regulations. Many of them are considered conventional zoning, where we regulate things like density and floor area ratios, setbacks, parking requirements. We also have some chapters in our zoning regulations that get into zoning design guidelines, such as our village districts, which are the most obvious. But there are other ones. Even the Route 1 access guidelines are along those veins as well. But in my sort of short time here and talking with the public, many of them want to see Branford stay Branford. And that means to me that there's a real sense of place, and that, trying to preserve a sense of place through its built out forms is one way that we can help ensure that we keep Branford Branford. But in order to do that, we need to know what is the Branford form so that it could inform some regulations and regulate things such as building types, build 2 lines, which I'll show on the next slide, have sort of minimum and maximum floors, the percentage built on a site frontage, and other aspects that really sort of lend to the design of a building, even regulating roof types, and other more traditional aspects like yard depth and or even in requiring where parking would go. So possibly in the rear, trying to discourage parking in the front or make it a requirement. So these are some examples of how other communities use that have form-based zoning, how they regulate. It's very graphical often. You'll have regulations that sort of show you what you should be building. And this is an example of a commercial and a residential aspect. So commercial, this is much more of a downtown type of form, multiple stories, a minimum number of stories of 2 and a maximum number of stories of 4. You can see things like the max feet on the floors. Here it says commerce, so the front of the building needs to be used for probably retail, and it allows for in the back of the building dwellings. And it talks about other things about you have a build line, so you have a line where you must put the front of the building so that can relate to the street and encourages all properties to sort of be in line. And then there's a parking setback line, so a line where parking cannot be in front of or cannot be behind. It depends how you want to use that parking setback line. And here's sort of, this is the side view and this is the top down view. So here's that building line, so the build 2 line. So this is where you need to place the front of the building, and then you can sort of work with the requirements here. This is a U-shape, obviously, but this doesn't require a U-shape. It just sort of indicates that you need to have some open space area, and it could be in the rear of the building or however it might be. And then here's the blue line is the parking setback. And And also on the building facade, 80%. So on this line, they want to see that the building facade takes up 80% of this frontage. So they have a good enough street wall that's made up of the building. And the more, either more urban or dense, you would want to have more of that facade building line built. In more rural areas or suburban areas, you might say 50% or 25% or 10%. However, it makes sense for the built out form in that district or the forms you want to encourage. Residential example. So this is sort of looking at a single family home requiring 2 stories. It's sort of recommending with the roofs and what you're allowed with dormers. Again, we have a build 2 line, which is here, they're requiring a front porch to be required to be built on the build 2 line. There's a parking setback line where parking has to be to the rear so that people aren't parking in the front of the yard. Here you can see sort of what the uses says residential could be and or home office, and they actually have uses that can be in the back. So a residential accessory use, a workshop or parking. So that gives you a quick understanding of what we could be working toward. But we have a long way to go to figure out what the Branford version of this looks like. And I'll hand it over to Dan. And Dan, just tell me when you need me to click. But Dan's doing the study and analysis to help get us a clear understanding of our forms.
Right. So what you're looking at here are the kind of various study areas that we've developed. Mostly, we derived these started from the voting districts, and then we kind of edited them. So we kind of got similar areas of comparable form. And obviously with natural barriers or unnatural barriers like I-95. And the previous, Stony Creek, that's a design review area. So we just used the same boundaries there. But starting in the west, you'll see we have, Branford Hills. South of there is Scotch Cap District. Some of these names, these neighborhoods have not been so clearly defined. Anywhere, they're just kind of, Indian Neck, you kind of know generally where it is. You kind of know where some of these areas kind of are, but don't have hard boundaries or distinct name. But Scotch Cap came from some 1863 neighborhood map that we found. So we didn't just make these up, but that's why some of these names might be kind of funny. Northwest District, that's above I-95. And then going east from there, we have Mill Plain. South of there, we run into the town center in the purple. And then south of there, we have Indian Neck. And then we go kind of northeast to the Brown area. That's the paved street district. Apparently that was the first place in town to get paved streets. But then south of the paved street, we have Stony Creek. Above paved street, we have the industrial district. And then you can kind of see those hatched areas, or the Route 1. We kind of made that its own district because it kind of has a similar development pattern. We just split it up into east and west. And then the Thimble Islands, all the islands were grouped together. That's in kind of that aqua color. And then we left out Pine Orchard and Short Beach because we don't have jurisdiction there. But those are our study areas. Yeah, I think we can move on to the next slide now. We'll kind of get down into this is after all of our GIS work has been done, but essentially took the parcel set of the entire area, used a lot of the information on the assessors, field card, but also had to do some calculations ourselves. So we go to town center, the top 5 most common building styles. We have, condominiums, followed by 2-family, then Cape Cod, then down to colonial and ranch. And then we down to the top 5 most common roof styles. We have gable and hip at 800, leading by a lot. And then we have flat, gambrel, salt box, and irregular behind that. We go to the average year built for these parcels. We have 1940. The average lot coverage is about around a quarter of the lot, 26%. Average front yard depth, that's the distance from the street line to the closest point of the structure. That's 38 feet. The average frontage is 130 feet, and the average building width ratio, and that's just the front width of the building, divided against the frontage, that's 85%. Now, if we go down into the stories, we see that most of the parcels in town have 2 stories, then followed by, 1, and then kind of the 1.25 stories in between. And then we move down to front yard depth. This is just a different way to explain it. This is more of a distribution than an average, what probably tells a better story. 215 of the parcels are between 20 and 30 feet of a front yard depth. 273, 10 feet to 20 feet. And then 0 to 10 feet, we have 121 parcels there. So a lot of them are within that 0 to 30 foot range. And then we have a few outliers above 100 feet, like some of the town properties. But that's the town center. We could probably move on now, unless anyone has any questions.
Dan, how did you compile this data? Did you just go look at the assessor's card for every parcel, or?
Yes, and then some of it had like spatial analysis. Like in GIS, you can measure from like the edge of the parcel to the front of the structure. So some of it was kind of readily available. Others you kind of had to do some more spatial analysis, just mapping, and GIS can measure distances between 2 points and generate, a front of the parcel. That's how you get your frontage. You kind of, some of it was easy, some of it was a bit more complicated, but most of it was in the assessors.
Yeah, and he wrapped up a lot of the sort of the data collection and data manipulation, I think yesterday, and he's still working with raw numbers. So these are raw numbers, and as he refines them, and we'll probably at some later date we'll give you a sort of a finalized version of this.
Right. Just kind of want to give you a first look. The rest of the
I
districts you won't go into. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Joe.
But I'm always compelled to be that guy. And condominium is a form of ownership. It's not a building style. So
yeah, they don't break it up.
There are various, cluster arrangements of houses and apartments that may not be condominiums, but they're still a clustered shared dwelling unit.
Yeah, that's correct. That's data from the tax assessor. So it's one of the building styles under the building style column. So, and I don't know why they chose that. I agree, it's an ownership format, but the tax assessor treats it as a style.
Yeah, my College of New Urbanism kind of gets a little tweaky with that stuff.
Right. Yeah, well, definitely. There's limits to our desktop analysis. Some of it will require going around town and taking photos and getting more of that upfront analysis.
All right.
Okay. I think we can move on to the next one.
Yeah, the others. Yeah, we haven't gone through gotten all the numbers, but yeah, Dan, give you at least the 5 most common building types for each district.
Yeah. So Branford Hills, we have a lot of condominiums, 1,300, followed by Ranch, Cape Cod, Colonial, and Raised Ranch. Those are kind of the top 5 for Branford Hills. Average year built in 1973. There's the rest of it. I don't have to read every single point, but we can probably flip through these, and if you guys want, I can certainly share with you all the information. Indian Neck, Colonial is the most common, followed by more condominiums, then Ranch, Old Style, and Cape Cod. We're going to see Old Style a lot. I'm not exactly sure what that means. We're trying to flesh that out more, but in some of these coastal districts, Old Style is like very prevalent, so we got to explore that more. Industrial district, most common one actually is mobile home, followed by industrial condo, then condo office, ranch, and industrial office. But yeah, that was kind of an outlier there. Mill Plain, more colonial in the lead, followed by ranch. Split level was pretty prevalent, and then Cape Cod, and then Raised Ranch as well. Yep, onto the Northwest. A lot of condominiums in this district as well, over 1,000, just barely. Then we have Raised Ranch, Colonial, and Cape Cod as well. Paved Street, Colonial again in the lead, 453 parcels, followed by around 300 Ranch, and then 100 Cape Cod, about 100 Contemporary, and 100 Split Level as well. Then we move on to Route 1, the eastern side of Route 1. More condominiums at 243, some mobile homes as well, condo office building, and then about 10 restaurants. And then we'll get into the west side, our smallest district, but service shop, that's most of the, the auto-related services. About 10 parcels, strip malls, store, not more detail on that, but it just says store. Then we have fast food, regional, and car dealership. So this one's pretty distinct from the rest of the town. And then we have Scotch Cap, 483 condominiums, and we have Ranch, followed by Old Style, Colonial, and then we have, of course, all the cottages around Lanphier, that area, about 110 there. And then I think we just have, Stony Creek, Old Style in the lead here. And then Ranch, Colonial, Custom, and 2-family all around the 30 to 50 mark. And then finally move on to the Thimble Islands, Old Style, Cottages, Custom, Bungalow, and Cape Cod. But yeah, most of them are Old Style again. And the average year built, obviously a long time ago, we got 1919. So Thimble Islands, Stony Creek, and Town Center are some of our older districts on average. But that's kind of our, bird's eye view look at these things. Again, the GIS work was just finished this week, so we'll definitely have some more finalized numbers to show you. When we start doing stakeholder engagement, we're definitely going to want to talk to you guys more, but this is just kind of the first look.
Yeah. And that's one of the questions I want to sort of pose to you. When we get this sort of ready to sort of share with people to get their impressions and get their take on it, are there stakeholders we should be thinking about? Are there particular individuals or people that we should ask them to provide, help review this information, truth it, and or make suggestions or questions?
This is the end goals of form-based zone. Is that what it's moving towards, or?
You broke up there, Chuck.
Oh yeah, I was thinking is the goal being possibly adopting a form-based zoning code?
I think ultimately that would be the goal. Right now we're still before the policy development, and the stakeholder engagement is to get, one, as we do this analysis, it needs to live in some current context of, what it means to have a Branford building form. Some of that analysis is looking at the numbers and saying, these are the forms we want to encourage, and then which forms do we want to discourage. We might have a lot of a particular type of form, like condos. That might not be the best form to sort of base our Branford building form off of, if that, unless there's real support for it. But I think what we're looking for stakeholders is, one, people who might have some expertise. So certainly architects or people who are in the trades. But it could also be people who are really versed in maybe historical standards, or people who just have an eye for design. And these will be conversations, and part of that is to sort of get some qualitative analysis and feedback, in addition to the quantitative that Dan is doing. So,
if it's design oriented, we have the Town Center Review Board, and we have the Stony Creek Architectural Review Board. They're designy. Yeah, when I think of stakeholders in development, I think of like the ecology, open space, conservationist side. I think of housing advocates on one side. I think of the economic development folks. Open space. Those are coastal people. Those are the same things, crews that we see. But I don't. In this case, it's more of the design element. I think at this stage you're looking at, and those are the ones. Maybe certain developers would have interest in this, but who are the big players? I don't know. Yeah.
I would think the town historian could probably add an awful lot to the discussion.
Sure.
Jane Booley is very, very bright and just encyclopedic in knowledge about this stuff.
That's good. Yeah, we'll definitely reach out to
Great.
her.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, some of those names I found from the historical society about the neighborhood names. And on the website they admit that, like, while there's no official map or delineation of these neighborhoods, these are generally kind of where they are.
Dan?
Yeah, Scotch
Fred-
Cap.
Fred
Paved
Russo?
Street.
I have a question for Dan. Dan, on the condominiums, when you use the word parcel,
Yep.
is that specifically means units? So
No.
There's 295, it says condominium 294, that's 294 units in that
Yes.
geographical area.
Yes and no. I mean, parcel isn't always interchangeable with unit, but in this case, we only, ran this analysis on parcels, like plots that had buildings on them.
Right.
So you could kind of use them interchangeably here. But yeah, when you see it 1,300 parcels for condominiums, that means there's 1,300,
Units.
separate condo units. Yes.
Okay,
exactly.
good.
hmm
All right. So we'll definitely revisit this and probably provide some more in-depth sort of review of what will come into play with form-based zoning. And at some point, we'll start to also do some stakeholder groups and sort of really ask the public to participate in a process before having any regulations introduced to planning and zoning, if we get there. Ultimately, this, while we do this work, the intent is to have it reflect what the community wants. And what the big thing is we try to do is really identify the champions that could sort of advocate for something like this, because it makes sense. The town planner, I'm here to sort of help facilitate, but ultimately these things should make sense for the town and should have some more support than just expertise is one thing, but this is about setting a course based on Branford's values. Okay. Otherwise, thank you. I don't want to hold you guys. Have a nice short meeting.
Great. Well, thank you, Nikhil. So that's it for your planner's report?
Correct.
Okay. Does anyone else have anything?
Chuck,
Then
Fred
yes.
Russo. I was a little worried that this meeting may have run shorter than my last meeting, but thank God for our staff that they got it over the line.
Yeah, just padding
Oh,
it. Yeah.
Dan, don't be so long-winded. I got
Exactly.
to be friendly. Come on.
Exactly. I had money on the length of this meeting.
Shoot. Damn. Okay. Well then, let's not keep it too long then. I guess if no one else has anything, does someone make a motion to adjourn?
Fred Russo, would be happy to make that motion to adjourn the meeting.
Fred makes the motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Chadwick seconds.
Second by Joe. Any further discussion? All in favor of Joe Chadwick?
Joe Chadwick is in favor.
Fred?
Fred Russo is in favor.
Joe Vayuso?
Joe in favor.
Dave?
Dave in favor.
And Chair is also in favor. So I hope everyone has a great holiday and
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. I think it's
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
our next meeting is January 8th, right?
January 8th.
Okay. Great.
Okay, great.
All
Okay.
right. Take care, everyone.
Take
Good
care.
night.
Great
See you
holiday.
next year.
Good night.
This program was brought to you in part through the support of the Town of Branford. Watch town meetings and other videos on demand at BranfordTV.org.